Okay, so imagine this. You're born, right? And the entire country gets 7 days and 7 nights of rain.
Wow.
Some people were saying, the heavens themselves were moved by this.
A pretty grand entrance.
Exactly. And for our source material today, that's actually where the story kicks off for the narrator. As a child, they truly believed this huge downpour was just for them. So today we're doing a deep dive into this really insightful personal memoir excerpt. It's called Sandrong, which translates roughly to From Muddy Roads to Dawn. And it describes this really unique childhood journey, one that kind of subtly shaped their whole worldview. Our mission today, really, is to unpack how a simple daily commute, just going to kindergarten, became this, unintentional education. An education in society and status, aspiration even.
Yeah.
It's just a fascinating look at how our environment shapes our perspective, often without us even, clocking it at the time.
And that's exactly what we want to dig into in this deep dive. We're trying to pull out these really profound insights from what is, on the surface, a very personal story.
Right.
We want to explore how those everyday observations, especially when you're young, those really formative years, how they teach you so much about societal structures, about class differences, about the dreams that sort of drive us.
See it through a child's eyes.
Exactly. Seeing the world through a child's eyes, but then bringing an adult understanding to what it all implies, the unspoken stuff.
Okay, so let's start right there at the beginning. That birth story is pretty incredible.
It really is.
The narrator talks about this widespread belief that the 7-day rain was auspicious, like a personal blessing.
Almost like destiny.
But then they get a bit older, they go to kindergarten, and bam, reality hits.
Ah, yes.
They realize, and this is a quote, they were not special, just a drop in that big rain. That must have been quite a shift. From cosmic importance to just another kid.
It's a huge shift. And you asked how that influences their observations later.
Yeah.
Well, I think that initial, maybe you'd call it disillusionment, it's actually crucial.
How so?
It kind of strips away that childhood egocentrism,
Yeah.
And it primes them, probably unconsciously, to start looking at their environment more objectively, almost like a little anthropologist.
Really?
They're not just in the world anymore. They're starting to notice its details, its inequalities, even before they have words for those things.
So that first lesson in scale, maybe, like, I'm small, the world is big.
Precisely. That foundational lesson sort of sets the tone for the whole journey, making them a really sharp observer of everything that follows on that commute.
Right. This recalibration sets the stage for the next big lessons. And these were learned on that, truly extraordinary daily commute.
Extraordinary is a good word for it.
Okay, so the kindergarten. Over 10 kilometers away. Now, by car, maybe 10 minutes. But for a kid back then, especially one who hadn't been in a high-rise, anything you couldn't walk to was like another dimension. Or, as they put it, a small expedition.
A whole adventure every morning.
Totally. And this was a time when KLCC, the Petronas Tower site, it was just a horse track.
Hard to imagine now.
And get this, what's now an 8-lane highway was just 2 lanes. And apparently a car splashing mud on you could signal social status.
Wow. Which brings us to the parents' decision, doesn't it? Why that school so far away?
Exactly. The source says they insisted on this particular school because of this, local legend.
Ah, yes, to get into that famous primary school.
First attendance kindergarten. That's the one.
It's framed as a kind of life pre-order system.
Yeah.
A way to, and this is another quote, divide destiny really, really early on.
It's intense when you put it like that.
It is, because it highlights this societal mechanism, right? These subtle, often unwritten rules about how you get ahead, how a child's path can be shaped from birth, almost.
It's not just about choosing a school.
No, it's about how early advantages, or even just the perception of advantage, can shape your whole view of the world. It kind of reinforces these social layers before you've even had a chance to, prove yourself.
And what a start to the day that system demanded. The routine sounds brutal.
Yeah.
Waking up at 5:30 a.m., for a school bus that came before dawn, before the village chickens had even, quote, punched in.
Okay, that paints a picture.
And the bus itself sounds like a relic.
Yeah.
Old as a post-war survivor, the driver navigating these muddy roads like a game protagonist, stopping here, stopping there.
And there's that other detail, the call car service. It wasn't quiet, was it?
Not at all. It was like a public broadcast. The driver shouting out names, Aning, Adi, Afa, for the whole village to hear.
Which tells you something about privacy or the lack of it.
Right.
For these kids, from such a young age, it basically ingrained this idea that their lives were communal, their movements known, observed. It shapes your sense of self, doesn't it? More collective, less individual.
A very different kind of childhood than maybe, kids in other areas might experience.
It's a stark contrast, yeah. And it lays a foundation for how they see their place in the bigger picture.
It really does paint that vivid picture of village life, transparent, shared. So as the bus journey continues, the landscape itself starts changing. It's like passing through checkpoints or boundaries. The first boundary is described as going from muddy ground to asphalt road. The narrator compares it to a game character passing level 1.
Yeah, nice analogy.
This marks the shift from the new village into the town proper, the Jichang. Still had old shops and motorcycle repair shops, sparser maybe, but still lively. Then comes the second boundary. This happens after the police station.
Okay.
And suddenly things change, the road gets clean, the cars look neater, fewer messy signboards, more lawns appearing. This was the zone of military barracks and former colonial bungalows.
Right, and this is where those descriptions of the mansions come in.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Well, the narrator observes these houses with large pillars, huge lawns, and white plaster walls, and describes them looking like well-dressed old gentlemen.
Such a specific image.
It is. But what's fascinating is the later realization. Only after watching a TV show, Shanghai Bun, does the narrator connect these grand houses to the idea of tycoons or machine guns.
Wow.
It shows perfectly how a child absorbs these visual cues, these symbols of wealth or power, long before they understand the economic or social reality behind them. They're building this mental map of what different looks like.
Just absorbing it all from the bus window.
Exactly.
And the journey pushes even further into what the narrator calls King Kong's main stage, the city center.
Ah, the skyscrapers.
Yeah, the skyscrapers one after another. Their reflective glass cutting eyes like knives. They even imagined King Kong climbing one and tearing it down.
A child's imagination running wild in this new, overwhelming landscape.
And right in the middle of all these giants, that's where the school was. A red brick Don Girls School, just off the KLCC crossroads.
And the name itself, Don Li Ming.
The narrator found that poetic, didn't they?
Yeah.
Leaving home in the dark, arriving just as the sky barely brightened.
It's a lovely detail, but it's inside the school, or perhaps just arriving there, where those feelings of, difference really solidify.
You mean the superiority?
Yeah, that immediate sense of superiority the narrator mentions feeling upon entering. For kids from the village, these high-rise buildings were genuinely like a different kind of fairy tale.
A sign of a world they weren't part of.
Absolutely. And the kids from the school seemed to embody it. They were like, quote, high-level monkeys who ate nutritious lunch. They could casually name a specific plaza. They knew what an automatic pen was. They could even tell you the brand of an elevator just by its ding sound in a mall.
Wow, those are just subtle markers.
Incredibly subtle but powerful. These aren't lessons taught in class. They're just absorbed. Unspoken cues about belonging to a different world, based purely on exposure and access. It creates this internalized sense of social layers really early on.
And speaking of malls, there was the Bright Building.
Ah, yes, the 5-story shopping center.
Once rumored to be the biggest in Southeast Asia, though it's gone now. But for these kids, it was like the city version of Disneyland.
Complete with a playground on the top floor.
A colorful, boundless playground.
And this leads to another really telling moment, doesn't it?
You mean when the other kids talk about going there?
Exactly. When other kids were boasting about visiting the Bright Building, the narrator just quietly observes, thinking, who hasn't been? That quiet thought just screams volumes about the unspoken class divide, right? Some experiences are just normal for one group, but completely out of reach, maybe even unimaginable for another.
It's that implicit comparison again, kids figuring out where they fit.
Or where they don't fit. It's how they start internalizing their spot in the hierarchy based on what's shared and what's not shared.
And this leads to maybe the most poignant line for me, straight from the source. The school bus window was our Instagram.
Oh, that's powerful.
The scenes flashing by outside, they were reality and bait, like this constant, subtle message. Grow up quickly, move out soon, live in that building you pass every day.
Wow. Like a daily visual advertisement for aspiration.
Yeah, an unconscious curriculum playing out every morning and afternoon.
It really is. And the narrator is very clear, saying, we didn't understand what class was then. They didn't have the vocabulary.
But they were living it.
They were absolutely living it. That whole commute, as you've laid out so well, was literally a class exhibition hall.
You could not see it.
Impossible to avoid. Because, as the source says, that was advertising on your path of destiny.
Chilling, almost.
It really underscores how much we learn about society, not from textbooks, not from direct lessons, but from just observing. Constantly, unconsciously observing our environment, especially when we're young and soaking everything up. It's this ongoing, often invisible education in social standing and what's possible.
What an incredible journey we've unpacked today. From just, a kid going to kindergarten.
Yeah.
To this really deep exploration of how the world outside the bus window shapes everything inside your understanding of society, class, dreams.
Indeed. I think this deep dive into such a personal story really shows us that the path from muddy roads to dawn, it's not just about geography, is it?
Yeah.
It's a metaphor, a powerful metaphor for waking up to the structures of society and to your own aspirations within it.
It really makes you think. This deep dive into one child's journey. It leaves you wondering, doesn't it, what exhibition halls of class or what subtle advertisements on your path of destiny might be influencing your perception of the world right now, maybe without you even realizing it.